Okay, if you clicked in this video, you probably enjoy watching people crumble in misery. No shame on that, I do too. And it is for that precise reason that today I will make a how to Hitokiri video. Enjoy! Okay, so as per usual, we're going to start by looking at Hitokiri's attacks and her damage output. Hitokiri has a pretty basic kit, which includes a neutral light, a zone, a dodge forward attack, an opener heavy, a neutral heavy which has 3 levels, level 1 being a normal heavy, level 2 gaining hyper armor, and lastly her level 3 which is an unblockable with hyper armor and has a stupidly long range. She has a follow-up light with hyper armor. She can also follow up with more heavies which can be charged to any level. And lastly she can access to a level 1, 2 or 3 kick. The level 1 and 2 guarantee a heavy and the level 3 guarantees up to a level 2 heavy. Out of an out of stamina throw you get a neutral light and a fully charged heavy, dealing a total of 46 damage. The same applies for the out of stamina parry. Alright, so as Hitokiri, there are a few magic rules that you need to keep in mind. The first one has to do with opening. Hitokiri is very bad at opening in neutral. This is because good players will immediately identify if she's throwing a heavy or a light, which can be easily parried. And if you opt to charge a heavy, your opponent might guard break or bash you. The safest way to open are either starting your chains early to not get interrupted or fish for a parry or a block to start an offense. Until then though, you must learn to be patient. Hitokiri has the highest health in the game with 145, so you can afford to trade or take a few hits. Once you start an offense though, you must wreak havoc. Hitokiri is one of the few characters with access to infinite chains, which means you can afford to spam options until you run out of stamina. Obviously, that isn't the goal, but it is important to make sure you milk your offense as much as possible before returning to neutral. It is very important that you keep track of the charge attacks you throw. Most Hitokiris will simply vary between the level 1 and 2 heavy, and then the same applies for the kick. Make sure to constantly vary those timings and don't repeat a pattern you do. Make sure to feint from time to time into lights or counter parries, although I wouldn't recommend feinting it to a guard break. There are many instances where I will feint a level 3 heavy into a guard break, but because my opponent tried to parry a level 2, you end up getting hit instead. If you're going to feint, only do that with the level 1 heavy. Another good tip is to avoid using level 2 and 3 heavies too often against characters with bashes, since they will interrupt you. Against those, aim for level 1s and 2s or feint into dodge attacks. Lastly, her kicks. Hitokiri's kicks are essential for your mix-up game, and if you use them properly, they can lead to many funny scenarios. Nevertheless, I strongly recommend always feinting your initial first or second kick and observe how your opponent reacts. Maybe not much will happen, but many players commit to always bashing, lighting or dodging your kicks. If so, just let your level 1 kicks fly, which are uninterruptible. If your opponent doesn't interrupt though, you can play with your timings. To the difference of most charged bashes, heaters are the ones that charge the longest, which means that you can mess with a lot of timings. Use that to your advantage, and use that late delay feint for some easy guard breaks or parries. Hitokiri can generally perform well against most characters. She excels against most hybrids and vanguards, and can have a fun time fully charging heavies into assassins trying to deflect, but unfortunately, she has some pretty rough matchups. Obviously, characters like Conqueror, Warlord and Blackprior practically neglect this character. They can bash you out of your charge attacks, crush and counter your heavies, and whatnot. Conqueror is even worse, since his side bash fully counters Hito's kick. Hitokiri also has a rough time against characters with stances like Orochi, Tiandi, Hyunkyung, and Nabushi. These characters can trade with you and dodge out of your attacks, forcing you to play fully defensively, which isn't Hitokiri's strength. As you can see, there are quite a few bad matchups, but in a good player's hands, Hitokiri can definitely be a viable hero for duels and ranked. Anyway, this is the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and let me know down in the comments what character you would want to see next and what do you think I should change in my videos to make them more engaging. See ya!